Hello and welcome to my pull-up bar build video. I like to start with a drawing so that I have a plan to work off of to keep everything organized and know what I'm doing. I'll be using a 1-inch spade bit to drill the hole for the pull-up bar in the 2x4s. I'm using a 3/4 inch by 5 foot galvanized pipe for the pull-up bar. I'm drilling 3/16 inch holes on either end of the pull-up bar. Make sure that your holes are parallel so that when you go to put the mounting screw through them, they will actually go through and the holes won't be off axis. I'm measuring two 27-inch pieces. These will be the pieces that the pull-up bar will be mounted into. I'm using just a standard cordless circular saw to make my cuts. And also, I'm cutting as I go because I'm trying to make the most efficient use of the wood and only use two 2x4s to make this entire project. Now I'm going to measure two 24-inch pieces. These will act as the interface between the arms that are holding up the pull-up bar and the structure which I'm mounting the whole frame to. I'm using my carpenter's square to measure and draw straight lines so it makes it easier to cut. I also like to mark which end is the true dimension. Now I'm measuring a 34-inch segment. This will have an angled cut, so what I'm going to do is mark the longest side at 34 inches. Then I'm going to place the pivot point of my carpenter's square at that 34-inch mark and rotate my square until the 45-degree mark is parallel with my 2x4. Then I can draw a line from that 34-inch mark and it'll be 45 degrees from that point. Before I cut my angle, I'm going to cut the end of the board off just so it's easier to cut that angled line. Also, I thought this slow motion saw clip was pretty cool. Next, I'm going to cut the angle. I also want to make note to save the little triangular pieces that you'll have left over from cutting your angles, because we're going to use two of those as extra support for the pull-up bar. I'm painting my pull-up bar black, but at this stage in the build, I'm just painting the surfaces that are going to be in contact once the final assembly is put together. Now I'm going to locate the hole that the pull-up bar is going to be inserted into. First I'm going to mark a line midway through the 2x4. Now I'm going to mark a line 1.5 inches from the end of the 2x4. And at the intersection of these two lines is where I'm going to drill the center of my hole. Once you get your hole cleaned up, repeat on the other side, and then you can insert the bar. The way I inserted it was by twisting it in to both sides. And when you get both sides on, it should look something like this. I put caulking at the gaps in between the bar and the 2x4s just so water doesn't get in there and rot out my wood. I forgot to mention that I cut two 9-inch pieces that will act as spacers to mount the angled support arms. This is the technique I used to locate where I was going to mount every piece. I would screw screws through the piece I wanted to mount until just the tips came out, and then I would press the tips into the piece I wanted to mount it to so that I would have little dimples where I could drill the holes. With this technique, I can ensure all of my pieces are lined up and everything is going to go together as I want it to. I'm using 2 of these triangular offcuts that I got from my angled cuts to brace the 90-degree corner right here. Next, I located and drilled the 4 mounting screw holes. These are going to be used to mount the pull-up bar frame to the structure where it will be located. Next, I lined up the holes in the pipe and screwed a 2.5-inch screw through them to keep the pipe from rotating in the holes. I used the 4 mounting screw holes in the 2x4 as a template to drill my holes in this concrete structure where I'm mounting it. I drilled 1 hole to start and then screwed in the screw so that we wouldn't have to hold it up there forever while I drilled the other holes. And I used Brittany's help to help me hold the structure up there while I drilled the first 2 holes. Also, if you'll notice, under the banana leaf right there is a level that we attached with magnets to the bar just to make sure that it was perfectly level while I was mounting everything. The last thing I did was add the cross braces with the angled cuts and painted the whole thing black after it was hung. I used 3 screws at each ends of the cross braces for the mounting points. And there's those spacers that I was talking about earlier. This is the final product after painting. I'm pretty proud of it. It was a fun build, and I hope this video helps you or maybe gives you ideas to design your own. Thanks for watching. If you want to know the costs and all the materials I used for this build, I'm going to put a link to a Home Depot list in the description.